Alright, let's see how good this Rode VideoMicro is then. As you might have guessed, I'm not using my phone on the gimbal anymore. Or at least not today. I decided I was sick of not being able to see myself, and the iPhone SE's front camera is crap. So I got a D5300. The built-in mics are awful, so I got a Rode VideoMicro, which is what you're listening to right now. But it's not really a review, because this is the microphone I'm stuck with. So it's just to go out and test it and figure out what I need to do in post to get it to sound good. Assuming it doesn't already. Which it probably doesn't, because it's going into a DSLR and they have crap preamps. I've come out today because it's kind of windy. And the weather's been horrible for the last couple of weeks, and in the last few days we've had a lot of rain. This is the weir at Holton. Now normally the weir, you can actually walk out into it, and I have done in past videos. But today it's, yeah, the water level is really, really high with all the rain we've been having. Which means that where I want to walk is probably going to be all muddy and horrible, and so we'll see how it is. Alright, so normally we can walk all the way out to here, but today obviously not. Oh well, because the other thing I wanted to test out today was slow motion on the iPhone with the gimbal. And yeah, I'm curious how well this microphone's going to do with the water though in the background. I wanted to talk about why I'd got a new camera. As I mentioned before, I got sick of not being able to see myself. I needed a camera with a flippy out LCD or a decent front camera. I figured as I already had loads of Nikon lenses, I'd go with a Nikon camera, which basically means D5000 series. Which is why I'm not using my D7000s too, because I need that flippy out LCD. I have tried to use the D7000, and it works, but it's a pain in the arse. But why did I go for this one and not the newer D5500 or D5600? Well, touchscreen would be nice, but it's not essential. And other than that, there aren't any really major upgrades over this, at least for what I need. It has the anti-aliasing filter removed, it shoots 1080-60p, although I'm shooting in 24 right now. It has the external microphone input, which is how you can hear me. But important for me, I wanted it to double up as a location scouting camera, which I normally use my phone for. And the reason I use my phone is because it's got a built-in GPS. And so does the D5300. And the other cameras, the 55 and the 5600, don't. And you can kind of get it back in the 5600 with Snapseed and talking to your phone, although I've heard it's buggy and not really reliable. And I don't want to have to drain my phone's battery either. But the biggest issues with this, and pretty much any DSLR really, it's a lot heavier to hold than a phone on a gimbal, which is what I have been doing. The other problem is I'm right now having to use my 18-70 lens. Most of my lenses are AF, not AFS, which means they don't autofocus on the D5300. I don't have the kit lens because I've never bought a camera as part of a kit. The 70-200's a little bit long for this kind of thing. That basically narrows my choices down to the Sigma 10-20 or the 18-70 that Nikon used to give out with the D70. And seeing as how the Sigma doesn't autofocus in live view mode, I'm on the 18-70. I'm having to swap hands so that I can keep my balance. Plus, like I said, it's a heavier rig, so this hand's getting really, or this arm's getting really, really sore. Let's try this way. The problem with the 18-70 is that the minimum focus distance means I have to really hold it out far. But the Sigma doesn't autofocus on this. And it can, but it doesn't. It autofocuses fine if I'm using the regular viewfinder to shoot stills, but with live view on, it needs a firmware update. And because it's an older lens that doesn't use Sigma's dock, I can't upgrade it myself, so I have to send it back to Sigma. So I emailed them and I got an email back, and this is as far as I go because the bit I normally cross is flooded. Well, that's that idea. I guess I'm going back then. I've also noticed I'm getting rain on my lens, So we'll continue this another time. I'll be back in a bit. Well, I did just find a really lovely cafe to carry on filming in. So I went in, ordered some food and a coffee, but then by the time I was done it wasn't so lovely anymore because there was a baby there that started making noises. So yeah, but fortunately the rain seems to have temporarily stopped a couple of minutes ago. So where was I? Oh yeah, so the Sigma 10-20 doesn't autofocus on the D5300, and this will be a really good test of the wind now. So I have to send it back to Sigma, and I emailed them because I bought it in the States and now I live in the UK, to see if that would be a problem. And he emailed me back and said, well, normally there's a fee because it's not a British lens, but we'll do you solid and sort it out for you. So thanks, Sigma. I'm going to pack it up when I get home and ship it off to Sigma tomorrow, and then when it comes back I'll have a wider view and a shorter minimum focus distance, because I have a feeling that this lens is having a hard time keeping up, especially as I look away, and if I hold it too close it just gets really confused completely. So, but it is a great lens. I do like this lens, that's why I never got rid of it. I mean, it was a kit lens, but I didn't get it as part of a kit. I think someone lent it to me. I'd bought a 2x teleconverter that he wanted to borrow, and I was just curious how the 18-70 performed, and so I lent him my 2x teleconverter and he lent me his 18-70, and we planned to get back together again the following week, and then I never heard from him again. So I'm not too bothered, because at the time this lens cost about 3 times as much as the teleconverter. But I always felt a little bit guilty, only a little bit. God, the weight on this is horrible. That's definitely going to take some getting used to. I have to keep swapping hands. So this is why I want the 10-20, so I don't have to hold it so far out, because right now my arm's like basically at almost full extension, which makes the camera really, really heavy. There's a big gust of wind. The little smart lav does really, really good in the wind, but syncing up in post is, for a vlog, I mean, apps like Pluralize make it go really, really quick. DaVinci Resolve sort of has automatic syncing, but it's not very good. I'm going back to the other hand again. But yeah, I needed to come out and test this stuff because I'm going to be using this camera at the photography show next month. Not just as a vlogging camera, but it's going to become an addition to the pair of D7000s. And as this camera doesn't have an anti-aliasing filter, it might actually become the main camera. The ISO performance is a little better too, and I need to be yeah, this is the right way. It's weird, I've not come back this way before. Whenever I've walked going the other way, I've always crossed the bridge at Holton and come back along the cycle path. So this is odd for me, coming back this way. And I'm probably, see, this is one of the annoying little things, because I've got the microphone plugged in. The flippy out LCD is great, but I'm going to bump the ISO up again. There we go. So the flippy out LCD is really, really good, because now I can see myself. I don't want to be looking at that, I want to be looking at you, but I can see myself and see how my framing is. But the problem is, I can't see the mic level or the battery level because they're covered up by the little flap on the camera. I don't want to chop it off completely, but it is really annoying because right now I know my battery is on less than a third power, so I'm going to have to swap it out. Which isn't a problem because I've got like 6 batteries for this camera. I don't just want it to cut off in the middle of a... I was kidding, it didn't really just cut off in the middle of a clip, I just stopped it. Bad joke. The wind's died down a little bit, but it's probably going to pick up again. Yep, there it is. I'm kind of curious how See, because when I look at other vloggers and they're using DSLRs, they're not using gimbals, they're just hand holding it. They're all using Jobies, and I'm using the Manfrotto Pixie, which I just think is a bit more solid, a bit less likely to fall apart, but it's heavy. I have to keep swapping hands again. So yeah, so I am curious how stable this footage is, and I'm going to put my backpack on there, because otherwise every time I take a step the backpack's going to bounce and all the weight's going to be on this arm that's holding the camera. Swapping back again. Windy! Yeah, that's really windy. Oh boy. Well, we'll see how good this dead cat does on the microphone, eh? Wow. So now the wind's blowing right into the microphone, which should be the strongest pickup. Oh, wow, it nearly peaked. Now we go that way. Now the wind's blowing against the back of the microphone. So in theory, I should be louder again. In theory. But, alright, that's it for now. I might put in some clips of the edit and other random bits. Bye.